Hello everyone, my name is Matt Denor. The topic that I chose for my research was cell phones in society. The reason that I chose that is a couple months ago I was reading an article on how cell phones affect restaurants, and I actually have worked in restaurants my whole life, so that's kind of what got me started into that. The article kind of talked about how back in the olden days when we didn't have cell phones, how things were so much different with the whole running and inner workings of restaurants, and now that cell phones have just become a distraction within restaurants, and they're a negative part of service. So that's kind of how I got started on that. I'm also interested in new technology and seeing what phones can do these days. It's quite amazing if you ask me. The sources that I used to get all of my research for this project were school databases. I mainly used EBSCOhost. Some difficulties I found when using like other sources were just their credibility and if they're a good source to use or not. So that's why I mainly stuck with that. I found a lot of articles on how cell phones can affect your health. I also found a lot of articles on like the dangers of using a cell phone. And how they can be distracting, especially while texting and driving. I also found a lot of articles that teachers have actually written about students using their cell phones within the classroom. For organizing my research notes, I tend to do a lot of pre-writing before I actually write, just so I don't get sidetracked or lose thought of what I actually wanted to say. So I always write it down if I'm thinking of something in the moment and I don't want to forget to write about it later. My thesis was actually that cell phones are a negative part of society and that cell phones are distracting. They give people a sense false of what it means to be social. They become negative within the learning environment and can cause problems with one's health. One of the like sublets, I guess you could say, of what I wrote about were when people bring cell phones into the learning environment. I actually said that they are negative, and then the rebuttal for that, or the opposing side of the view, was that they are positive within the learning environment. You can do so much more things on cell phones, and you can use them with other technology. However, within my research, I found an article about someone talking that, it was actually a professor, that they said the school allowed students to use it. However, a year later, they had to change all of that because cell phones were just getting too distracting, and no matter what they did to block students from using certain sites on their cell phones while they were learning, such as Facebook, Twitter, all social media, students were still doing it, and at that point, they had to go away with their cell phones. So that's a little bit about my research. Thanks for listening.